Hi there, welcome back to my channel. I'm tearing out some flooring today, and yeah, it's really cool and interesting. I changed my YouTube picture PNG little guy to be a rat because I feel like that better reflects the way I feel internally. I've been feeling really crusty and gross and rat-like, so that's why I'm a big fat rat right now. I hope you don't mind having a big round rat speaking to you. I wanted to talk to you guys about this really cool concept I came up with on my own, and I call it the decaying corpse scale. So basically, the premise of the decaying corpse scale is that, like, if you're like me and you've been feeling kind of on like the lower end with like the stinky flies and you're rotting, which is how I've been feeling. That's why I'm a big rat right now. So if you're feeling stinky and rotting and bad, right? And it can be for a lot of reasons. It could be like for me in my case, it's because I'm like poor. But it could be that you're like having health issues, you can't get around, your car broke down, like whatever it is that's making you feel like a decaying corpse, right? And I don't want to stigmatize any of those things because I'm going through all of those things currently right now. What I find very interesting about, and this is why the framing is important and why I specifically chose decaying corpse, is that as much as people pretend to be empathetic and pretend to care and pretend that they want to help you, a lot of people will not help you. And a lot of people really will only say that they care. They don't actually care. And that's not in a boohoo sad kind of way. It's more in a like, I think you need to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and like you do need to like self-actualize on your own and realize ultimately like sometimes you are the only person who is going to be able to clean up the mess, like literally and figuratively, and that really sucks. And there are obviously like my partner has helped me a ton. My partner has been probably the single-handedly the most helpful person that I've ever met in my entire life. So yay for that. Thanks, dude. But I think a lot of what I'm talking about can actually be related to like class differences, and how when you have more material, like resources, money, access, it is so much easier to handle tough situations. And that's not to say that you can't suffer and be on the shiny happy scale, right? But this video is for the impoverished rat girls, okay? So if you're not an impoverished rat girl, I need you to click off right now. Okay, so if you're just like a dirty rat person like me, basically, I guess what I'm trying to say, and if you acknowledge this, people freak out and they don't want to hear it. But when you're a dirty rat person, life is harder. When you don't have money, life is harder. When you don't have money and you have a mental illness or a disability, life is harder, right? Like that's just true. That's just true. And oftentimes, and let me know if you guys have can relate to this, when you open up to people, and I'm being pretty vague about my like the ins and outs of my life. A lot of those really personal things, they do go in my journal. Thank you very much. I'm just keeping it kind of vague. Other than like you guys can watch me like renovate my house. I would love to share this with you because I have all these fun whimsical ideas. I don't think I would have felt comfortable sharing this stuff with you like 5 years ago when it was in like full blown rat's nest, because I think it would have been kind of traumatizing, like traumatic, because it's like I'm sorting through all this stuff and I would have felt really vulnerable. Now I'm like kind of on the out. I'm kind of like moving away from it being so chaotic. So I feel like I've put in a lot of work to decorpsify my house. You know, there's still a lot to do, but I feel like it is something that I'm working on and owning and making obvious progress. I mean, you're watching me right now cleaning up the floor, right? And yeah, so the thing about the difference between the shiny happy people and us, right? Dirty rat corpse people is sometimes I think people who are on like the shiny happy scale, you know, they mean well and they try to give advice and they want to care or try to care, but because the gap is so wide, and it's not their fault either. I'm not saying this with like hate in my heart. You know, I would like love for things to be easier for me, but they're not, and that's okay. So I'm sitting on my butt working on my floor. Cool, right? I'm taking ownership for like the hand that I've been dealt, and I'm working to better my life the best I can, right? The thing is, right, you live in the world with lots of different people who have lots of different opinions, and we'll give you lots of unsolicited advice. And like, I'll talk about like weight right now because it's a similar thing. and I have been trying to lose weight. And this is a family member. A few years ago, because I had been gaining weight, kind of due to the stress of taking care of this house and all sorts of other life things. So I had been gaining weight, and I'm a pretty short person, so it was pretty obvious. And they were giving me all these like unsolicited like health tips and telling me like don't drink so much soda, which I don't really drink soda. And that was really hurtful because it's like I was keenly aware that I had gained weight. Obviously, I knew lots of my clothes didn't fit, right? And then to get this like unsolicited advice from this person who they meant well, but it really just hurt my feelings in the moment. When you're already feeling, again, for me, I was feeling on the more corpseified level for all sorts of reasons, not even just my weight. But then to have that thing pointed out just really sucks. It's like when you're already feeling insecure about it and then someone brings it to the forefront when you're just trying to make it through the day, it makes you feel worse, right? And this is like someone who can afford to go to yoga, can afford healthy food, doesn't have to be tearing the floor off with their bare hands. You know what I mean? It's like, I think that advice really works for people in a similar tax bracket, right? Who are like prepared to hear that advice and can like actually use it, right? Because for me, I was just not in a place where that would even be helpful, And actually, I have lost 20 pounds this year. Yay! Not very much of my diet has changed. To be honest, the big thing is sleep. I've been able to sleep more, and that has just kind of automatically helped me lose weight. Obviously, I'm eating less calories, but for me personally, like getting more sleep has been really helpful. And that has been due to completely unrelated circumstances. And a lot of it does have to do with my tax bracket and that I'm poor. And again, it's not to get super depressing. I just think a lot of people maybe don't understand how these things are so interlinked and interconnected. And that, again, people mean well and they want to give you advice. And they want to feel like they're helping you. But sometimes it really doesn't help. And I'll bring that same concept to like right now with me peeling the floor off in a really like inefficient, stupid way. A lot of people have like offered different advice, and you might even be thinking like, why are you doing it this way with a kitchen knife, you dork? Well, because I'm poor. I can't afford to have someone do this for me, so I have to do it myself. I don't want to use a heat gun because the adhesive is probably going to release like toxic fumes, and I don't have the right gear to protect myself. But also, I have pets. I have a dog and 2 cats. So as you can see, there's a kitty cat right here. And so I don't have to like lock them away in a different spot if someone were to come and have to work on the floor. Basically, I just have to shoo them away every like 20 minutes because they need attention and I don't want to accidentally stab my cat. And it's also been like 90 degrees, so I don't want to put them upstairs in a house with no AC. I want them to stay here or have the option to walk downstairs where it's cooler. And yeah, I don't want to release toxic fumes. If I had more money, I could board all my pets and get someone to do this for me, and that would be super cool. I don't have money though. And this isn't a cry or a plea for help. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just like trying to explain this concept again, where people will give you advice or offer these different solutions, and that's like, yeah, that's really cool in La La Magical Land, right? But I am working with a budget, and I have to balance the budget sheet, and I have to figure out how to make this work. And that means I have to be on the floor peeling the linoleum off nonstop. So anyway, it's a really fine line between acknowledging like the challenges you uniquely have when you have less, and trying to let people know what's going on in your life without divulging too much information, lest they be scared for their lives, right? This is the other thing with shiny, happy people that have resources is sometimes you tell them a little too much. And then they're like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God, how do you live? Oh my God, if I was living like you, I'd die, right? Like then that obviously veers into like, okay, well, awesome, cool. I guess I should just give up on myself, right? I wish that wasn't true. I wish I wasn't like joking here, but like genuinely some people like when you tell them about what you're doing and what you're working on, they just kind of freak out. They're like, oh my God, that's a lot, right? They kind of are like, gee, oh my Lord. Because they sense that you're a dirty rat person, and it can kind of freak them out. And I wish that wasn't true, but it is true, unfortunately. So all this to say, do be careful what you tell people. Try to make sure that you are at least self-aware enough to know when you're telling people too much, or if they're getting uncomfortable. Like, I don't really tell people too many plans. Generally, usually it's family members that get a little more worried because they usually ask or pry and want a little bit more information. And then when you tell them that your bathtub is like electrifying you, they freak out, and it's like a whole thing. But yeah, there's a fine line here. And I hope I'm not sounding too complainy. I think there is just a uniquely isolating experience that you go through when you don't have a lot of money, and when you are trying to work on yourself whilst not having a lot of resources. It's sometimes even hard to find advice that does help. So I will leave you with this, and it is boring advice, but this is what has worked for me. If you're in a similar situation as an impoverished rat girl, hopefully it will work for you. The number one thing is go at your own pace. Do not compare your progress to anybody else's. You probably are going to get things done a lot slower just because, again, it's like we don't have access to the same resources that other people do. And that's okay. You still deserve to be comfortable. You deserve to have a clean place to live. You deserve safe appliances and safe infrastructure. If it takes time to save up. Yeah, maybe we have to forego some stuff. Maybe we don't get to go out to eat as much, and that really sucks. I'm not going to bullshit you with like Dave Ramsey stuff. It is objectively really sad to like have to pass up on things sometimes. It is objectively really annoying to not hang out with friends or to not be able to treat yourself to like something you really want. But you can still treat yourself to smaller things. Like at the end of this whole project, I got myself a bottle of wine, and you can see I was scraping the last bits off while I was drinking my cheap wine. And like, if you can learn to appreciate these smaller things and these smaller successes, that honestly helped like a ton. I had to just like Pavlov myself like a dog. And it's okay to be a dirty rat person. Like, honestly, it's like objectively more likely that you will be a dirty rat person if you're like working with less, right? And that's okay. Sometimes we have to relearn things, and we have to reparent ourselves, and we have to figure stuff out. Anyway, I peeled pretty much all of it off. This image is not like the kitchen floor. This is an upstairs bedroom that we got sanded and resealed. And this is what the kitchen will look like once I get it sanded and resealed. I might actually do tile. You guys let me know what you think. This house is over 100 years old. It was built in like 1912 or 1920. So I kind of want to go with some more like of that time period decor and go back to like the natural finishes, strip some paint, and that kind of thing. You guys let me know. What do you think would be cool? I think tile might be some kind of cute antique looking tile might be cool in the kitchen. But yeah.